Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me for this Clicker and Dyslexia webinar. It's great to see so many of you joining us today. My name is Gemma. I'm the Senior Customer Experience Consultant at Crick Software. So I support our existing customers in using Clicker effectively, and I also create and manage the training resources that are available on our website. I'm joined today by two of my colleagues, Andrew and Charlotte, and they'll be answering your questions throughout the webinar. Okay. So we've got about 30 minutes today, and in that time, we're going to be looking at some of the features that can be used to support learners with dyslexia. So we're really focusing in on some key areas that learners with dyslexia often struggle with. This isn't an exhaustive list of everything in Clicker that can be used to support those needs, because I could talk about that all day, and we've only got 30 minutes today. So if you would like to find out more, we can arrange a bespoke training session for you, or you can book a meeting with one of our consultants to talk about your particular learners and their needs. So today we'll be focusing on using Clicker to support learners in planning and organising their ideas. We'll look at some tools for supporting with spelling difficulties and raising learners' phonological awareness. And we'll also look at some tools and strategies that can be used with Clicker to support learners with poor working memory. So a little bit of background to Crick Software, the company, first of all. So we've been around since 1993 and nearly 30 years now. And the company was originally created by John and Anne Crick, who were both working as teachers. And John was working in a special school with learners with physical disabilities. So that's where the initial idea for Clicker came from. And over the years, we've improved Clicker, we've added more features, and it's now widely used to support both learners with special needs, but also to support literacy in general in the classroom. So I mentioned that Andrew and Charlotte will be available to answer your questions through the webinar. If you're attending through Zoom and you have a question, you can use the Q&A function to use it. To open the Q&A and ask your question, if you look for the button with the two speech bubbles, and you'll be able to type your question in there. Now, there are a lot of you here today. Andrew and Charlotte will answer your question as quickly as they can, but it may take a minute or two before they can get to your question and think of the appropriate answer and phrase it correctly. Okay, so do bear with them while they answer your questions today. If you're attending through Facebook and you have a question, you can leave your question as a comment beneath the video, and we'll be there to help you out and answer your questions there as well. If you have a question after this webinar, please do get in touch. This webinar is being recorded, so it might be that you're watching it later on and you'd like to ask a question. You can give us a call on one of the office numbers just here. You can email me directly, and there's also lots of help and advice available on our website. But do get in touch, no question too small, or even if it seems silly, just let us know. We'll always be happy to help you out. Okay. So a few things to note before we dive into looking at Clicker. So I am using the UK version of Clicker today, so any voices, any spellings, they will be the UK versions. All of the resources that we look at today are available for all of the regions. So there will be a version that uses the appropriate accent and the appropriate spelling available to you. We are going to be looking at using Clicker on both PCs and on iPads and Chromebooks. So if I'm talking about Clicker on your PC, that's what Clicker will look like on a laptop or desktop computer. If I'm talking about the Clicker apps or Clicker Writer specifically, then that's what Clicker will look like on your iPads or your Chromebooks. Okay, so let's dive into Clicker itself. And for today, we are going to be looking at resources on the topic of endangered animals. Now, these resources and these strategies will apply to lots of different topic areas. So this is just an example to give you some ideas, and you can then apply those to other topic areas. So I'm on Clicker for PC at the moment, and to start with, we might want to plan out some ideas, gather some key vocabulary, start thinking about how we're going to structure our topic. And a great tool for that in Clicker is Clicker boards. So it's a really nice, simple to use mind mapping tool. Those of you who are familiar with Click on your PC will know this quick start menu. So here we can start writing in the document. We can access any of our recently opened Clicker files. And we can also create a new Clicker set. That's the resources in Clicker. So I could go straight into creating a new board and start from scratch, but I'm going to go to Learning Grids resources up here instead first. Okay, so Learning Grids is our bank of free, pre-made, ready-to-use resources. And there's lots of these available. They're updated constantly. So these resources that you can see here were actually added today. To find the resources on endangered animals, we're going to go into the science subject area. Okay, and you can see endangered animals is just here. So we've got 15 resources that we can use in Clicker on our PC. And the first 3 of these are Clicker books. You can see they're labeled just above that open button. Now we're looking for a Clicker board, so we could scroll through this list, or we can use the check boxes over here on the left. So I'm going to check the box for Clicker boards. Okay. And here you can see we've got 2 Clicker boards on threats to animals and animal habitats. So I'm going to open up this first one here. And this is great because this gives us some structure immediately. We know that we're going to need to think about writing about pollution, about poaching, global warming, and deforestation. If we're struggling to access any of this vocabulary, we can right-click,
poaching, deforestation,
listen to those words read out and help us to access this resource. We can then start filling in some ideas, some content into our mind map. So I'm going to start with deforestation. And I'll double click in this cell to start typing. So some common reasons or causes for deforestation, farming, need to clear space for farms, or it might be roads. So I'm just double clicking these boxes, homes as well, housing, okay, to fill these in. Maybe we'll look at pollution now. So could be caused by fertilizers from farms going into rivers. It might be fumes from factories or cars or chemical waste. So you can see as I'm adding this vocabulary in, I am giving some extra detail when I'm speaking. And you'll probably find with a lot of your learners that they are more comfortable explaining their ideas out loud rather than writing them down on paper. And we can support that using our Clicker board. So to do that, we can go to this box over here. Okay. And we can go to this microphone, and I'm going to click and drag it into position on my board. Okay, so I'm adding one of these for each of my subheadings. I can then double click on a microphone, and that opens up a sound recorder up here. So I can then record additional information that I know about the topic. So quick example, I use the red button to start the recording. So pollution can be caused by fumes from factories and from cars. Okay. Red button again to end that recording, select done. And my microphone turns into this speech bubble, which I can click to hear that recording played back. So I might even want to do that first and then fill in the key vocabulary afterwards. So this is a great way to start gathering ideas, start structuring a piece of writing. Now, we're going to need to do the writing, so we're going to need to access the document, the word processor. And to do that, I can go to this little page icon down here in the bottom left. It's quite small down here. And that takes me to my document. I can then get back to my mind map whenever I need to with this tab next to it. Now, it may be that it's quite difficult going between this screen and the word processor. We're forgetting what we wanted to write about in between the two screens. So we can also export this information into our document in a few different ways. I can go to this export button just here. I can then send this information into my document as a diagram, which takes an image of this screen and puts it into my document. as text, which takes all of the text content from this mind map and puts it into my document. Or I can choose to create a word bank from this mind map. So when I do that, all of my information from my mind map, my pictures, the colors of the different cells, it's all added into this word bank at the bottom of my screen beneath my word processor. I can right click to hear these words read out still.
Deforestation.
And I can click them to add them into the document. So I've got point and click access to the key vocabulary that I've gathered to use with my writing. Now, there are other tools that we can use in the word processor to support our writing. So I'm just going to minimize this, and I'm actually going to open up a document that I've created previously. And to do that, I'm going to go to my folder icon up here in the top left. And here I can access my file explorer. I can get to any previously saved Clicker files. I can also get back to learning grids if I want to open up a different resource. I'm going to open up this document just here, endangered animals. So I'll double click that. Okay, I don't want to save deforestation. And that then opens up. So I've got a piece of writing here that I've started to put together. It could be something that a child was working on using those support tools. So for example, we've seen voice notes in our Clicker board where we could explain our ideas first. We can do that in our document as well, and they appear as these speech bubbles here to the left of the document. So I can click on these to hear my recordings.
There are lots of threats to animals' habitats. These can be human threats or natural forces. Polar bears live in the Arctic with lots of ice. Global warming is a threat to them.
So these are a really great way to allow learners to get the content of what they want to write about recorded, and then they can focus on the aspects of writing that they might otherwise find difficult. To create a voice note in the document, we go to the microphone button up here in the ribbon, and that then opens up the sound recorder just like it did in the Clicker board. I can then make my recording. Animals rely on their habitats. And when I select done, it sits beneath my other two speech bubbles, and it's a different color to help me to differentiate the information in each one. So voice notes are a really flexible tool. This is one example of how they could be used. It might be that we want to record a list of key vocabulary we want to remember to use. We might want to record the tasks that we need to complete so that we can check that and be more independent in what we need to work on and reduce the load on our working memory. Or we could use it to record feedback so that learners can act on it more easily and it's more accessible for them. So looking at my piece of writing now, my last sentence, we haven't completed it. We haven't added our punctuation. So I'm going to add that in now.
Natural forces can also be unpredictable.
And Click will read my sentence back for me when I end the sentence with punctuation. So I can very easily check to be sure that the information that I've got in my document is what I intended to write. I can make sure I haven't missed any words out or duplicated words, maybe misspelt a word, but the misspelling is a correct different word, very frustrating to spot. I've also got my red highlight to help with reading fluency. So a really great tool to be aware of. We can use the speech feedback in the document in a few different ways as well. So we can click on individual words.
Pollution.
And Clicker will read that word out. Or we could highlight a section of text and go to the speaker icon up here.
Deforestation or pollution.
Clicker will read that section of text back for us. So it's also a way that we can make text more accessible for learners if we copied and pasted it into the Clicker document. Okay. Another tool that we might want to use in the word processor is the predictor. So this is a great tool for helping with writing fluency and for providing spelling support. We can turn on the predictor with this button just here. It's got kind of a 1, 2, 3 and some bars. And we're then offered a list of suggestions that we could use to start our writing. So this is great for learners who struggle with a blank page, particularly in combination with the voice notes and the word bank. We've got a lot of prompts to help us to get started. And as I Right, so I'm going to have a go at spelling endangered. Okay, I've had a good go at it. I've tried, haven't quite got there, but the predictor has a phonetic element to it. So endangered is still being offered. And I can access the speech support in my predictor as well. And to do that, I right-click.
Endangered.
To hear the word read out. And then I can click the word to use it in my writing. Okay. My next word is animals. And you can see animals is already being suggested by my predictor. So include, I could select it from the predictor. I'm going to type it, polar bears. And okay, rhinoceros, tricky word. I'll have a go at it. Okay, I get to the O and several options are available to me. And I can again right-click those to double check that that's the word I wanted to use.
Rhinoceros. Endangered animals include polar bears and rhinoceros.
So you can see how the predictor can help with spelling. We might not always be using the predictor, in which case we might need to use the spell check. So let's write in a sentence now. So polar bears live in the Arctic. Okay, some good attempts again there. I've got my red underlines to show me where my misspelt words are. And just like other word processors, I can right-click to open a list of suggestions. And like we saw in the predictor, I can right-click these
Live.
To hear them read out as well. We can also access the spell check by going to this ABC button up here, this ABC icon. When I click that, I get this spell check, so a nice floating grid. This is particularly useful for younger learners. We've got a larger target. And it will also go through every misspelling in the document in order, so we don't miss any out. We can still use our speech support here by right-clicking.
Arctic.
And hear those words read out. Okay, so we spent quite a lot of time in the PC version of Clicker. Let's have a look at those tools in Clicker Writer for iPads and Chromebooks. So all of these tools that we've seen in the word processor are also available in Clicker Writer. So I've opened up Clicker Writer now. I've got a writing grid at the bottom of my screen. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. And I'll type in a quick example sentence, put in my punctuation.
My name is Amy.
I've got the same voice reading the text out for me. So I've got that consistency. I've also got the red highlight to help me with my reading fluency. I can create a voice note by going to the microphone icon and using the sound recorder. It looks a little different, but it does work exactly the same. So I'm not recording anything in particular this time. But when I choose done, my voice note moves and it sits over here to the left of my document as a speech bubble, just like we saw in Clicker on a PC. I can turn my predictor on with a similar icon to what we saw in the PC. This was kind of 1, 2, 3 with the bars. And while I have this writing grid open, or for iPad users, your on-screen keyboard, the predictor is sitting just above that either writing grid or on-screen keyboard. We can then choose from the options offered there to support our writing. If we make a misspelling, so I've got that red underline again. I can then click or tap on that word to open my spell check in the same place we saw the predictor. We saw that we can right-click the words listed in the predictor and the spell check on a PC. We can do the same with a Chromebook.
Like.
But iPad users, you don't have a right-click. So instead, you can use this blue button here. This is called Sound Shift. Tap the blue button, then tap the word you want to hear read out.
Like.
Lovely. So those are the support tools that are available in the word processor. We've seen lots of ways that we can use Clicker to support learners with planning and organising their ideas, offering spelling support and supporting working memory. We're going to look now at the writing grids. So there are 3 writing grids available in Clicker on a PC and through the Clicker Writer app. Those are sentence sets for early readers and writers, connect sets, which offer scaffolded writing activities, and word banks, which offer key topic vocabulary. We're going to focus on connect sets and word banks today. I've actually got a connect set open here at the moment, so you can kind of see the layout. We'll open one specific to endangered animals in just a moment. So connect sets are fantastic for supporting learners in structuring their sentences, encouraging them to extend their sentences, and encouraging them to use a wider range of vocabulary. You can see we've got lots of options here to use different adjectives in this case. So to get to learning grids in Clicker Writer and find some resources on endangered animals, we're going to go to the folder icon up here in the top left of the screen. And you can see learning grids is listed as the second option down. Okay. So just like we did earlier, we're going to go to the science subject area and choose endangered animals. Okay. And we've got 8 resources here that we can use in Clicker Writer on endangered animals. So we've got a connect set, which we can see is labeled above that open button. There is a sentence set available, and we've got several word banks as well. So we'll open up the connect set. Okay. And here you can see we've got lots of options to be able to build some writing on endangered animals, but we've still got lots of choice. So as I go through these grids with this forward arrow here, I can then provide lots of information on, in this case, endangered animals. So, and it's a great way of supporting learners in applying new topic vocabulary. So let's just create a quick sentence on polar bears. So polar bears have, so I'm just clicking, or for iPad users, tapping those words to add them into the document. We can right click on any of these to hear them read out.
Melting because of global warming.
Or we can use our sound shifts.
Less time each year to hunt on the ice.
To hear those options. Here we've got any punctuation that we need, and we also have options to encourage us to extend our sentence further. Okay, so that's an example of a connect set. Let's have a look at one of the word banks now for endangered animals. So I'm just going to pop back to click on PC for this. So we saw a word bank earlier, which we created from our mind map. Let's see what's available in learning grids though. So I'm going up to the folder icon again in the top left of the screen, choosing learning grids resources. And this time, instead of looking at clicker boards, we're looking at word banks specifically. So there are several different kinds of word bank that we'll find in learning grids. There are A to Z's, which give us lots of vocabulary organized alphabetically. Quick words, which give us one grid of key vocabulary on the topic. Here, we've got a writing frame for a discussion style of writing on saving endangered animals. But I'm just going to open this one here at the top. So now I've got some vocabulary that I can use in general for writing about endangered animals. And then using these tabs, I can access vocabulary for writing about these animals specifically. So if I go to the polar bear tab again, you can see Arctic is listed, which is a word that we struggled with earlier. There's also words like autumn, which are particularly difficult to spell. And we can dip into this vocabulary as needed, but it's great as a prompt as well to encourage us to be using this wide range of vocabulary. Okay, so we've had a look at lots of resources now for planning and organising ideas. We've looked at resources for spelling support and supporting working memory. We haven't looked too much at phonological awareness yet. The spell check and the predictor are both useful for supporting that, but we do have some resources on that in particular. So we're going to go back into learning grids now, back to my folder icon up here and choosing learning grids resources. And rather than the science subject area, we're going to go into English now. So I do just want to quickly highlight the writing frames and planners section here. So this is really great for offering cross-curriculum writing support for different styles of writing, while also supporting different topic vocabulary. So it's definitely worth having a look in here. I'm not going to open these up right now, but it's definitely an area to have a look at. But we're looking at building phonological awareness. So alliteration and rhymes have some great resources for this. We start with alliteration. So we've got 6 resources. I'm going to open up this alliteration sentences example here. Okay. So this gives me lots of options to build different alliterative sentences with different initial letter sounds. So we've got a grid with letters beginning with P, B, L, T, etc. So a great way to build children's phonological awareness, focusing particularly on initial letter sounds. If we want to focus more on word endings, we might want to look at the rhyme resources. So I'm going to go back to my folder icon, learning grids, and this time we'll go to the rhymes topic just here. So some lovely resources available in here. I really like this rhyming couplets example. Okay, so we'll open that one up. And this gives us a couple of sentence starters and some rhyming sentence endings. We can build some example rhyming couplets to practice and build our phonological awareness. So we've got some lovely examples here to build a selection of rhyming couplets. We are coming close to the end now, but I do just want to quickly show you a few other features available on iPads and Chromebooks that you can use to support your learners. So these are clicker books, which you can also access through Clicker on your PC. These are a great way of providing speech support to help children to access key curriculum content. And Clicker Talk, which gives you access to speaking activities to give learners alternate methods of recording. So here they can use the images as a prompt and record what they know about the topic. Okay, lovely. So I just want to highlight as well. So we saw an example of a mind map earlier that came from learning grids. We can also create one of these mind maps really quickly on whatever topic we need it to be on. To do that, I'm going to go to Clicker Set up here at the top of the screen and New, going to Planning Boards, and here we've got several templates that make creating these mind maps really quick and easy. If I take the spider diagram, for example, all of my cells, all of my boxes are already added. I can just double click them and add in the vocabulary that I need to. So it doesn't take a lot of time to set up if there isn't something that's already available in learning grids. Okay. I also want to highlight the training area of our website. So if you would like to talk more about how you can use Clicker to support your learners, both with dyslexia or to support other needs in your classroom, if you go to our website, cricksoft.com, and choose training resources, on the bottom of our product pages, you can book a meeting with one of our consultants, and they'll be happy to talk to you more about how you can use Clicker to support your learners. Okay, so I'm just going to put our contact information back on the screen now if you'd like to make a note of that. For those of you who've signed up through Zoom, we will make the recording available in the next couple of days. If you still have questions, please do continue to use the Q&A. We'll still be available for a few more minutes. I do hope you found this session useful. If you need to leave now, that's absolutely fine. When you leave the webinar, a survey will open in your browser. We'd really appreciate it if you could just take a minute or two to fill that in so that we can continue to offer high quality webinars. Okay. Thank you everybody for attending today, and I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day.